what nobody can see is I've got my slippers on. Yeah.
Cheat.
Yeah, look all cool. Granddad slippers. I'll show them. There you go. Oh, we didn't set up your second cam. Let's do it. Yep. We meant to do 2 angles here, but it's not working. The brain's not working today. I'm still recording, and we'll just add the other cam in at some point. Oh no. See if it works. Because Elizabeth might just cut off the assistant. She's probably gone, shit, don't name me. She's probably go cut it all off. You can keep talking, keep the camera, the audience entertained.
I was just trying to think if Elizabeth needs a pseudonym now. That was the thing that popped into my head.
That'd be good. Elizabeth, what do you want? There we go.
Carly fake name.
It'd help if I press record. There we go.
Good.
Sorted. Win-win, and we're back in the room. So I'll show the people again my fancy nice slippers. They are cool. I mean, they're not blue inside.
Are they cool?
That's why I actually got them. So I did a story. Because I had the worst granddad slippers ever. And
worse than these?
Yeah, worse than them. And I was like, I feel really awkward whenever I answer the door.
Okay, yeah.
And people see your feet and they look up and oh, you're not an old man. So
you should get the ones I have. I have the big furry monster slippers. Because I'm a child.
Yeah, to be fair, I remember when I was a kid, my cousins, they had them. They're like big wolf feet.
Yep.
And we're of a similar age, aren't we?
35.
Yeah. So, 34. I've got a few months, But, it was that
Then why the slippers?
Well, yeah, I don't act 34. Okay, so let's introduce you. So tell everyone who you are.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nick, friend of Ethan's.
Wait. Also, you're not just a friend of mine, you also represented the brand.
Oh, yeah, that too, yeah. People weren't supposed to know about that.
No, so you're one of the FKME models on the first original shoot.
Yeah.
And that is actually closing in on a year.
Weirdly, it feels like it's been longer.
Does it?
Yeah, it feels like absolutely forever ago.
Cool.
Maybe just a lot's happened this year.
What's quite funny is, obviously, the brand didn't launch till May.
Yeah.
Which is why we announced very recently we're doing a year celebration anniversary party. But the original photo shoot was March 2nd.
Okay, yeah.
And by accident, this year's Rangers photo shoot is March 2nd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was like, holy shit.
No, that makes sense. I do remember it being cold, so that adds up.
Yeah. So that was in a big derelict mansion with no heating.
Yeah.
And half.
You know what? It worked out, though, because actually, 10 minutes into it, you are kind of really warm anyway.
All the tents and all the posing, all the excitement as well, But yeah, it was half naked men in a cold, big room.
Yeah, awful, terrible.
Oh, yeah, I think that some of the guys were a little bit nervous, as in cold.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, oh, got to just run off.
I definitely was. It's usually way bigger.
Well, so Nick, anything else you want to say about yourself to the watchers, the listeners?
I'm very happy to be here.
It wasn't forced at all. It wasn't.
The gun's poking in right now.
Yeah. So I've actually invited you on here to talk about something very, very specific. Poly.
Yes.
So you yourself are poly.
That's right.
And how long have you been poly?
So I've been in a polyamorous relationship for, oh my God, my mind's gone blank now, about 4.5 years now.
Okay, but were you poly before that?
No.
Okay.
No, prior to that, I hadn't even been in an open relationship at all. So this relationship that I'm in at the moment was my first sort of
interesting
opening to it. Yeah.
Cool. I actually generally would have thought you'd been poly forever.
No. The funny thing is, when I met my now boyfriend on our first date, I spent an entire meal going on about how open relationships not for me. I'm cool about them, but I never would.
But little did you know he was poly. Was that the situation?
No. So when we were on our first date, I knew he was with someone else, and they sort of had a polyamorous setup. But I was his first additional partner.
Cool. Well, let's explain that to the audience. So what is poly?
So essentially it's just where you've got monogamy, which is a relationship with just two people. Polyamory is I have more than one, or you're in a situation where there are more than just sort of one partner. It can take completely different shapes and setups, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every person that I've met that's poly, they don't match up. They're all completely different setups.
Okay.
So ours is, I have a boyfriend, he's married, that husband also has a boyfriend, so they're kind of the hinge, we call it, in polyamory. So yeah, we all sort of separate that. And ours is different to a throuple as well. So each branch is separate. We don't sort of interact with each other, really.
Yeah, it's like... So, I don't know if we're allowed to mention names of your partners. Are the names going to pop up, or are we going to give them code names?
We can say their names, it's fine.
Okay. So, go on, introduce them.
So yeah, my boyfriend's name is Darren, and his partner's name is Ollie.
Okay, perfect. So, Darren is your boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Darren is with Ollie as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're married.
They're married,
but you and Ollie have no interaction in a romantical or sexual sense.
He begged me, but I just had to turn him down. Yeah, no, we don't. Just really good friends.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I find it really, really quite interesting. I actually find it quite cool how people are in those type of relationships. They always seem dead happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen... Do you know what? It's the same as a monogamous relationship. You see happy people, you see sad people. Yeah. It's just a different setup.
What I was going to say is, I don't think I could hack it. Mm-hmm. So I'm not judging you for doing it.
Yeah.
But I know, like, for some people, it's just a no-no. Like,
I mean, it was for me entirely. We kind of just, like, fell into it a little bit. We sort of went on a date and, like, really got on.
So what made you go on a date with someone when you're like, I don't want to be in an open relationship, I don't want any of that, but you knew they were in a relationship?
I wasn't looking for anything serious and I was horny.
So, okay. Was it a grinder thing?
Scruff, yeah.
Scruff.
Because we're high class.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was very much in the mindset of I'd been in a long-term relationship not long before that, sort of about a year and a half before that.
Okay.
And I wasn't looking for anything serious at all. I just wanted to, like, feel my oats a little bit and put myself out there. So I was, like, not adverse to meeting up with guys who were in relationships. It was neither here nor there. So
yeah, because
we were just keeping it casual, really. So
yeah, because let's be honest, the amount of guys that you hear and see about, or you know yourself, who are just open. They're not poly. They're just open,
absolutely, yeah.
You know? So I can understand where he's like, yeah, a guy being in a relationship is no big.
No, not at all. In fact, like after our first date, Darren messaged me. It's like, just like, I hope you know that I'm in a relationship. I'm like, yes, I did read your profile. I'm one of those rare people that reads the 3 sentences that are on there.
Yeah, super rare.
I think you kind of got the impression that because I was like, oh yeah, open relationships, no, that I didn't realise, but no, I was just being really obnoxious. So,
you're just being a twat.
Yeah.
You are welcome to swear
lovable
on this.
Twats.
Yeah. You are welcome to swear on this because it's the Fuck Me podcast. The name is pretty much a swear word. So I am your host, Ethan Bradbury. Welcome to the Fuck Me podcast. Back in the room. I had to get that in. We never dropped this in at the start of the episode. By the way, we were actually talking about this just before because I've heard rumours that if you say that at the start of a podcast or a YouTube video, that you get flagged. So we just keep it a little bit PG for the first few minutes.
Just lure them in first and then...
Exactly. Yeah, so anyway, back to this conversation. So, obviously you went on this date. That in itself's a bit interesting, because if you're more so for a hookup thing from Scruff...
Yeah, I think that's just a thing for me personally. Even if I were like going on a hookup, I try to get to know someone.
Yeah,
like,
you might not want to bang.
Well, basically, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I was living in Cambridge at the time, and so he came all the way down, because... obviously. So he came all the way down. And the plan was to, like, we went out for dinner, went out for drinks, and he just decided to sort of stay the weekend. That was the plan initially anyway, and he kind of had to get out of jail, like, in case I was a psycho or anything. Like, he had a hotel room, that was fine. But no, it was really well, and we hit it off, and the rest is history.
So, that's quite cool. So you said he was poly before, or was he open?
Yeah, so he was part of a like poly setup. So his partner already had a partner then, but he didn't himself and hadn't prior. So
okay,
yeah.
So yeah, that actually makes more sense. If you've not done it,
it's a weird thing of sort of like, you know, are you poly or sort of aren't you kind of thing? Because I mean, this is a difficulty that I have trying to explain to people is, yeah, like technically I'm polyamorous, but the follow-up is usually, how many boyfriends do you have?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I only have one, but that's just because of the scenario of it. The assumption is that I have more than one.
Yeah.
But we don't say
I can
their
imagine
names.
that. It's like, yeah, I'm poly, right? Everyone would assume
yeah.
you have 2 or 3. Like, as we're saying, there's different setups and stuff. Like, I know someone who says they're poly, but really it sounds like you're in a main relationship, but you're just allowed to have they're friends with benefits who you can go out for dinner with, but you're nothing more than that.
This is the thing. Like, I know plenty of people with like different rules, and this goes for like open relationships and poly relationships anyway. Yeah. So like, I know people that you can't do anything with friends, or which is completely against I don't sleep with all of my friends. I sleep with some of my friends, and that's the thing. I think we don't have rules necessarily, but it's the same kind of guidelines that you would have with any friendship, relationship, whatever. It's like, don't be a dick, like, don't be disrespectful. That's kind of the only thing that we personally go along with, and what's up for us. So.
I mean, I know there's some where it's like, you have to tell me everything, and some that are like, I want to hear none of it. I don't want anything.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. It comes down to personal preference. Yeah. I'm very much, it's not a rule. You don't have to tell me everything. I just prefer to. Just because it's sort of, otherwise it feeds into my own insecurities and like, oh God, who are they with and what are they doing? And not that it would be a problem either way, but then my mind's not going like crazy. Yeah. But then you meet people that are just like, out of sight, out of mind. You can do what you want. I don't want to know about it. Yeah,
and fair play to them. I think I'd possibly be more like yourself, where I'd be like, I want to know because I just want full transparency, but then I'd feel more comfortable. I'd be able to relax then.
I think for me, like, sometimes it's that little sort of healthy bit of jealousy of like, oh God, you hooked up with that really hot guy. I know about it now. It's fine. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it also could be a little bit hot in a sense, but
I mean, it is. Yeah. It's a bit about been there.
Like obviously, like with me and my partner, we're not poly. We do adult content for those who don't know, and I really get off on it. Like if he's been for a club, I'm like, he'll come through the door, and I'm like, so how'd it go?
I feel sometimes I can be like. Like a stage mum sometimes. It's just like, how was it? Oh my God, this is great. He's talking to you?
Yeah, well, exactly. But then my partner is the flip.
Yeah.
I'll come back in and he'll just ignore, and I'll be like, so today was fine. My shift was good, because obviously working in content. Ask me how my day was. But no, it's a case of, with me, it's not about work. It's about, actually, I just find it really hot. And it is like, how was it? I want to know, like, what did you do? And then now, just because you'll just have to wait and see. I have to end up watching it like everyone else. I'm like, fucking hell.
So with partners, I don't even get behind the scenes stuff.
I know. No. But that's different against relationship stuff.
Yeah.
But it's... Obviously, in conversations, it's come up over years, not between me and him, but obviously friendship groups talking about poly. And I always stand back to, I don't think I could handle it in the sense of juggling commitments.
Yeah. This is the thing that comes up with us a lot is you can have all the love in the world. Like, love is kind of like infinite, but time is not.
Yes.
So this was something like we had, when we kind of like first started seeing each other, and for the first year or so, like we'd go a couple of months without seeing each other, and it was horrible.
Oh, okay, but you live far away though.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like 5-hour train journey.
Yeah.
But like talk every day and everything, and then eventually I moved up here, which it was one of those things of, I didn't just do it for the relationship, but it was a huge contributing factor. I was like, yeah, my boyfriend lives there. I want to live in Manchester now. So
yeah, I get that. So now, obviously, you're all living in like the same area. You have done for a while. The thing I'm on about commitments is like holidays. So, for example, say I've got two partners. Obviously, could be guy, girl for me, whatever. But let's just go Jeff and John. Just to give them really like boring names. Jeff and John.
They sound hot though.
Really? No. so I take Jeff on a holiday, we go for 2 weeks all inclusive in the bloody Riviera and all this and come back and John's like, so when am I going? That's what I would worry about. Or like even just like little weekend breaks away.
That's the thing. Yeah, I think it's definitely okay to worry about that. It's something that we consider, and I don't know, like, not to toot my own horn or anything, but we all kind of like level people. We're all quite pragmatic and emotionally mature, and emotionally aware of ourselves and other people.
Cool.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, for example, so I met my boyfriend when he was engaged. So he was already engaged, but they weren't married yet.
Okay.
So then when they did get married, they got married abroad too. So that was sort of like a whole thing. We had a few friends sort of come with us, so there was a nice little group of us. But that's sort of, they had their honeymoon after that, and okay, well, I'm not going to be able to go like on honeymoon with you, but can we go on a vacation afterwards? Can we please? So yeah, those things, you have the conversation.
So for your partner, Darren, wedding, honeymoon, other holiday, it's like, my holiday allowance from work is gone.
He has unlimited holiday allowance.
Oh, perfect. That's great. So in certain situations it's okay, but like I would imagine it could be a nightmare because, for example, say if everyone of your what's it called?
So there are a few different names. So there's one that is probably the most popular, but I don't like, which is polycule. So like a molecule, but a polycule.
That's what
we typically because did you ever watch Sense8?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, because their whole thing is a cluster.
Okay, cluster. I like it.
So I like that, but in my head, I hear it as something gross. So constellation is another one.
Okay, constellation. So let's call it that then. So your constellation. So you and Darren have to sort a holiday for your time, but then Darren has to sort it with Ollie. But then Ollie's got his other partner. So they have to sort a holiday, but then the other one has sort. I'm like, this, and your dates could clash, and I'm just like, that's the thing that stressed me out.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it just
you figure it out.
You do. You just sort of have to sort of roll with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Have the conversation. It's where the full transparency of everything comes in. Because even if it's a situation of, I've gone on holiday with this partner, I want to with you, but I don't have the time, or I don't have the money, or like we just don't have the availability. Then if you have that conversation, then you can sort of work through it and then come to a compromise.
But then Christmas Day is one day. This is like, so the other holidays are very all over the place, can do whenever you like, and that's hard enough. But to navigating the actual specific day holidays, how do you do that then?
So we're quite lucky in the fact that Ollie and myself get on. That's another bit of lingo as well. So you've got your initial partner, so your paramour, and then your partner's partner, so your paramour's paramour is your metamour.
Okay.
So that's another one. I don't use it a lot because people don't know what it means, but it's like internet lingo. So this is why I always thought it was really important for me and Ollie to get on, because it's, even if we're not dating, we have been in each other's lives the entire time. So things like Christmases and birthdays and things like that, it's made it a lot easier for us, because I mean, they live together. I live with them now currently, but Christmas Day is sort of a non-issue. I get on with Darren's parents. I get on with Ollie's parents.
Oh, so you just all get together?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mine are a little further out, so I will kind of do that typical coupley thing of like, oh, do Christmas here and Boxing Day there.
Yeah, that's the typical, see your parents, see my parents.
Exactly, but we're able to meld it all together for stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's quite cool. Obviously, like you're saying, you're getting together with their sets of parents as well on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm that one's boyfriend. But I also,
I do think sometimes, like, I'm not sure you understand.
Yeah.
And they were roommates. Just really good colleagues.
Yeah, to be fair, so I'm just laughing at that because I'm just picturing a similar thing with like throuple situations. Obviously, we're not a throuple, but where
it's the same thing.
Yeah, a couple hides the third wheel to their parents. Third wheel, I know it sounds bad, but it is.
It does. And it kind of goes on to another sort of aspect of it that isn't present in every poly setup, but it is in ours and it is in a lot, is the idea of like primary and secondary partners. Because you don't want to think about it, but in some situations you do have a primary and you do have a secondary. And in ours we do, because obviously Darren and Ollie are married.
Yep.
So by definition, I am the secondary. Like, we don't own property together. We're not getting married. So it's that sort of thing where
I imagine that makes a lot of sense though, having a primary. I know it's, and you'd be like, I can care for you just as much. It's just though, like, we were together longer and got engaged.
That's exactly it. This is the conversation that we've had a lot, is like, I don't love him more, I just loved him longer. Yeah. So, if you can kind of get your head around that, it's like, I would say that's one of the bigger sort of aspects, especially if you're the kind of person that, doesn't have that sort of like security in yourself to be able to. That sounds bad. It's like, I'm not saying that just because you don't want to be poly, you're like insecure, but sometimes there's that little like niggle of just like, I don't necessarily want to compete for my partner's attention, which thankfully for us is never really.
Cool. So with regards to, you said you're living together at the moment.
Yeah.
You haven't been though previously.
No.
So when it comes to that, how do you kind of sort time? As we're saying,
time. Are we talking bedroom time?
No. I'm actually not, but we can go to that. But I'm actually saying, so obviously, a lot when people in relationships, they spend the night together quite a lot. Obviously, if he's living with his other partner, his husband, then they'll be spending their nights there. But then will he be like, I want to come over so many nights a week, or is it just off the cuff?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, we don't necessarily have rules.
Yeah.
And we kind of treat every aspect in the same way. It's just... Oh, yeah, I kind of think you and I have been spending a lot of time together, like, recently. You guys go off and everything. Because I've only... it's coming up to 3 years that I've lived up in Manchester. Now it'll be 3 years in the summer. And I like to make sure that I have, like, my good set of friends, that I'm being sociable, that I'm going out and I'm doing things. And that works really well in our setup, so that I'm not always there. Yeah. I'm not always, like, under Darren's feet or under Ollie's feet either. So they have time to do their own thing. We have time to do our thing. And also sometimes I'm like in the office for work. So it just happens to work out quite well for us timing wise. Darren and Ollie tend to be at home together for most of the day. I'm out for most of it. So,
and do you know what? It's probably nice to have a bit of me time.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we've gone from, I've got it now. So obviously there's the spending time together. There's the sexual side. So obviously, do you find... I'm actually going to start again. Elizabeth, leave that bit out as well. Leave that. So obviously we're talking about the spending the time together. You mentioned briefly about the sexual time. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm assuming there's... Because you seem so relaxed, your setup. I'm assuming there's like no jealousy there or anything.
I would say like none. I mean, I suppose like now there's not. I think sort of at the start, I was quite jealous of the situation. It was like, I'm all the way down here, like I don't get to see you that often. Yeah. Like that. And I think I view it in the same way that like jealousy is a negative emotion. So is anger, right? Everyone feels angry about stuff, but you learn to manage it in a like healthy, in theory, in a healthy way. And it's just kind of like the same as that. Like if you talk it through, figure out where those feelings are coming from and address it from that point, you can kind of get over it a little bit. So yeah, it's definitely, I think in any open or poly relationship, something like that is bound to, unless you're the most laid back person in the whole entire world, which I'm not.
Yeah. Well, I can understand it. Like, as well, it's like, also, you might not fulfill... That's what a lot of people say with poly. All your needs can't be fulfilled by one person. Yeah. And you might say, want that connection of nothing sexual. It could be something that you have more in common with that other person and that other partner. But obviously that could probably transition to sexual as well, where you might have this partner who's really not into that kink that you like. But then obviously you could have another partner.
Yeah, I think that works both sort of like emotionally and sexually. Like you said, it's one of the positives of being polyamorous is that pressure to be everything to everyone, and also for them to be everything for you is kind of off the table a little bit. So it works sort of both ways, and it works like emotionally. So if you're having, if both of you are having a rough day, there could be another person there to kind of help you through that rough day. Kind of like I'll clock in today. And like you said, it's the same sexually. Like it might be a situation where you're into something and one of your partners isn't, and then
it can just be sex drive. So it might just be a partner's just not feeling really horny at that moment in time. It doesn't have to be that day. It could be a period of time. But obviously, you've got to be then careful not to make them get pissed off that you're going elsewhere to get your sexual satisfaction. That's a tricky one. I'm already going off because that person's not putting out and the other one, and then that could cause jealousy. I'm like, I think
this is why it sounds really obvious, but full transparency of what you're doing and what you're feeling is just, it's really integral to anything that isn't sort of like monogamous or just simple and like a close relationship in that way, because it could easily just descend into jealousy and things like that.
Yeah. So you obviously fell into this. Mm-hmm. Did your partner actively go into being poly, or did he fall into it?
I think he did as well. I sort of I won't go too much into like where theirs started, but yeah, there was a sort of like a confluence of events of shall we try this, or how about this, and so
I think from everyone I've met who's poly, it's always been they've gone on a date with someone who's poly, and that person's like they've ended up liking them and then joining into their poly relationship.
It's like a really sexy pyramid scheme.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking of it. I've never seen someone or spoke to someone who's gone, yeah, no, I Googled it one day and went, that's for me.
Well, this is the thing. I talk to some people who say they're poly, but they're also single, and it's a complete odds with sort of my situation in it wasn't a feature of how I thought or how I was feeling. It was just a situation I found myself in.
Yeah.
A situation I was very happy to find myself in, but I stumbled into nonetheless.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm sure there are people out there. There must be someone who's just like one day just went, I'm poly. I don't want one partner. But otherwise, I've never met anyone other than the fact they fell into it.
Yeah. I think I only know of one that the person I mentioned that is just they identify as being like poly, but they're actually no, they might have a boyfriend now. Now that I think about it, but
so there's one person I knew who was single who was poly, but I do think that he met someone who was poly.
Sure, that makes sense.
And he got involved, and then he just came away and gone, I'll carry it on because I like that. I think that was pretty cool.
It was always as well when I was in like my last relationship and we were completely monogamous. It was always something that, I mean, not just polyamory, but being open in general.
I was going to say, was it more the open, not the poly? There's a difference.
Yeah, it was always something that I viewed quite negatively, and especially sort of in the poly aspect, in like thruples, and you'd get a couple and then they'd have a third. Like, I would look at it and just think, oh, yeah, no, they're just, having their cake and eating it too. And, oh, God, everyone's going to end up hurt sort of thing. And then this happened. So it's really easy to have that mindset. And, I mean, I was sort of younger at the time anyway. But I think things feel different now. But I've definitely sort of felt that sort of pressure from other gay people of like, oh, yeah, look, they're in a throuple, or like, someone was bored, that kind of like energy, and I'm glad I've sort of gone through that and see it from the other side. And like I said, every poly setup that I've seen is entirely different, which is quite nice.
Okay. What do you think are some misconceptions then about poly relationships?
Like I said, that I think that people are trying to have their cake and eat it too. Maybe that the people in this situation are just like really slutty. Sometimes we are.
Possibly, if anything, I'd see it as opposite.
I've had these feelings sometimes where I'm like, I like, because in our setup we're polyamorous and we're open as well.
Yeah.
So
poly open.
Exactly. So and sometimes I just like after work and after the gym and going home, I'm like, I don't have the time or energy. I'd like to get laid, but can I just cuddle up on the sofa today? So yeah, it's that time thing, it's the energy, but some people have a lot more energy than me, and a lot more flexibility with their work too. So
yeah, I would actually think poly is probably less slutty, because like, you're spending time within a relationship and another relationship. Yeah. When are you going to have time for the being slutty? You've got two people in your life who you're probably regularly with, maybe three. Because you could be with three partners.
Oh God,
Jesus! But they're regulars, or you could be the people who go out banging strangers, 2 or 3, 4, 5 of them every weekend.
I guess it just depends on what your setup is really, because it is possible that
there's no issues with people being sluts, by the way.
Hate them, terrible. Where do I find them? But it's one of those things of you could be in a relationship that is like very, very happy, just not very sexual, and then you want it to be open so you can sort of fulfill that a little bit. And I mean, it could be the same that you find another partner that you are more sexual with. I mean, it's just a different way of doing things at the end of the day. That's what it boils down to.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So, if we got a listener here, if you got someone who is interested in this, but they're in a relationship, and obviously it's monogamous, do you think they should approach their partner about it? And if so, how? Or do you think they should, like, I don't know.
I think it's one of those things of being open about your feelings with your partner is the best way to go about it. It sounds really easy and simple, and it's not always. It's people's feelings could easily get hurt if you turn to someone that you really love and they really love you. You're just like, what I'm kind of saying here is I want more from other people. Yeah. It's a difficult thing to broach, but again, it doesn't always mean that you don't love that person or you love them any less. It's just, maybe I want to try something new. And
yeah, because obviously in the gay world, open relationships are fairly common. Yeah. And I think because it's so common, it's a little bit easier to go to your partner like, have you ever thought about fucking someone else? And they're like, oh yeah, I've done it. I don't know what. No, but they like I've
it's deep.
Yeah,
I've thought about it.
Exactly. But even that between couples can be quite a biggie. Yeah. And I get it because I've been there, me and my partner, we're like, whoa, and we still kind of are navigating this.
As a person, you kind of just think, oh God, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, what have I done? Oh.
But then the whole emotional side of being poly, it's like you tell them not just, I want to fuck other people for fun. It's I actually want to get in a relationship with someone else, and that can be quite difficult for someone to hear if it's out the blue as well. Do you think maybe they should broach like go straight in with I want poly, or go, would you like to try doing a little bit of open first?
I think it would definitely be a good idea to, if you're really thinking about being polyamorous, just be honest about that thought.
I think that's a biggie.
You don't always have to like dive right in, but say, look, this is what I'm thinking. Maybe we can take some steps, like dip our toe in a little bit. Maybe just see if we're okay being open. Like maybe I'll go on a date with someone, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. It's like, tell them here's the end goal. Not goal or end idea, because you're not saying you have to hit that goal.
Exactly.
So here's something I'm curious about, and let's start baby steps.
Because it may even, come into a situation where, I've started seeing other people. Do you know what? It's not for me. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day. Or the other person who didn't bring it up might turn around and say, do you know what? I've been thinking about that too.
Yeah.
I saw the Fuck Me podcast and I was just like, sign me up.
Well, it's like me and my partner. So obviously we work in our industry, so we do sleep with other people. However, that's where the line was drawn. And we're like, that's it, and that's the way it's been for years. It's outside the relationship, it's been for work only. But then I was like, do you know what? I kind of want to, can we explore doing something for us? Away from camera, and we kind of like, do you know what? Okay, we will. We were like, we took a break from work, filming, and we were like, okay, and we hopped on Grindr, and it was me.
And you didn't message me.
You were outside my radius, but
likely story.
I didn't see you on there, but yeah, hopped on, and we enjoyed chatting to people, this, that, and the other. But we kind of found just the way we were speaking, that we were like, oh no, we generally just want to get to know people and hang out and become friends with people. And then if something happens, it's more so on like in a couple way, where like we're all hanging out. And I said to my partner, I was like, I'd be comfortable you doing things on your own if it's like, say, we went to an event. And he's like, do you mind if I just go out? But or he just, from there, or if we're all having drinks together, and he's like, we're just going to hop upstairs and go. And I'm like, yeah, cool, high five. Or if I was going to be involved, even better. But I wasn't comfortable. We found we both weren't comfortable with, I'm just going to fuck off and go meet this person, a stranger. It's more of a relaxed, chilled approach. So, like we're saying, everything's different. And I think, if he turned around and he said, Joe, like, if he was like, this random stranger wants to go on a date with me, I know I'd be like, who the fuck is that? Who am I going to have to, am I have to sort out? But I could imagine, say, if it was someone we'd both spoken to, met in this kind of situation, like, do you mind if we go out and go for some food? And I'd be like, because I know the person, I kind of got trust, I would feel more comfortable. But as we're saying, there's some polys who go, I don't want to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's different situations.
I think you've hit on a couple of things there as well. I've lost my train of thought though. The first thing is the first thing sort of made me think about sort of you were saying about wanting to hang out and like have conversations with people, like you meet on Grindr and everything. This was something that I faced when I first became single, sort of when I was about 30. I'd been in a relationship for most of my 20s, and so dating apps I'd never used. And when I did start to use them, there was this idea that, you know, they're hookup apps.
Yeah.
You know,
dick pic.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, for fuck's sake.
You've got to do it now.
I mean, I still haven't got the angle right of them, so I typically don't. But I found that I was like you. I wanted to like meet someone, like hang out, like even if I had no intention of seeing that person ever again, and it was just like a one-off.
Yeah,
so I want to have a laugh. Like, let's fucking talk a little bit, maybe. That's just how I operate. And I felt like a little bit of pushback in doing that. And I had to like reassure myself of like, it's fine if, sorry, excuse me. I had to reassure myself that it's fine if that's the way you want to do it. And it's fine if everyone else is just saying like, oh no, it's a hookup app, whatever. And it's kind of the same with polyamory as well. It's just a different way of doing things. And not everyone who does it the same way. There are a lot of ways that it's similar to being monogamous at the end of the day. And it's just a different way of doing it.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely think that's hit the nail on the head. It's everything's different.
Yeah.
So we're going to pause for a moment there. This episode is brought to you by FKMEmerch.com because we don't take sponsors at the moment because no one's fucking reaching out. But yeah, FKMEmerch.com, that's us. If you go buy something, we can keep making these episodes. But yeah, so have you spotted this?
Oh, I have. Nice.
Yeah, it's a nice coloured padlock. More so for your fashion needs. So for those who are watching, if you like to wear red, we have red padlocks. If you like to wear green, there's the green one. If you want to wear blue, we have blue because people like to match. Have you noticed that on a night out?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like your harness and your jock and your socks have to match. But now if you want a padlock necklace, it can match too.
I mean, you don't really want to be going out there with clashing padlocks.
No.
So I wanted to make out with him, but it's padlock clashed. No.
Yeah. What colours clash? I'm trying to think now. Oh dear.
Pink and orange clash.
I've once seen a really cool neon pink-orange combo though.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It can work.
Yeah.
But we have pink padlocks.
There you go.
We've got two different types of pink actually. We've got like a hot pink.
Show you my pink padlock.
Yeah. So if someone likes to wear pink, this actually works really well for pups.
Okay, yeah.
In the pup community, they're really more on colour. But obviously, it's not just pups. You do find a lot of men when they're walking around in those kind of clubs where, you know, you're in your socks and jocks, you like to be colour matching.
Especially if you've got hanky code.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's important to match.
Joe, what, we've done an episode on that. Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Over 200 different variations.
What if you're colourblind?
Yeah, exactly. Well, oh no, what? There's grey is on there. Go on.
I'm just like, I've never met a single person who knows what the colour teal looks like. How can we have 200 different colours?
It's like a light blue, isn't it?
I don't think it is. I don't even know. Okay. This is the problem. Yeah, stick to primary colours.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we said in the podcast. It's like you got your main 7.
Yeah,
I think there's red, blue. It's not the colours of the rainbow because the black's on there. So, but yeah, it's the main ones.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to this podcast and go buy yourself a padlock. Go check them out. We have 10 different variations. So that's of the colour. Then we have the brass. We have the classic.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I like the classic. I always wear that. I nearly knocked my tooth out once.
What were you doing?
No, I wasn't really. Too bad. I was fucking someone the other day, and I had it on, and as I went over, I was like, just I wasn't mind the padlock. I was like, just don't worry about that. And they end up grabbing it and then moving it. I was like, okay, you don't want to get hit in the face by that. So be careful if you're wearing it for naughty things. Okay, so back in the room with the poly. So obviously we said about broaching it with a partner. I actually think that's really, really quite clever. Have you got any other bits of advice for anyone? Because I think we've touched on quite a lot.
Bits of advice. At the end of the day, if you want to do it that way, if you want to, being poly is a great opportunity to make up your own rules. And I don't necessarily mean like sort of strict rules of you can sleep with this person, you can't sleep with that person, but it just really kind of opens up your world to just living a little bit differently and considering, just because everyone does it that way doesn't mean I have to. So it's definitely something to consider. I mean, no, not everyone's open now. A lot of people are open, and it seems like more and more people are poly as well. They keep sort of messaging me. It's like, yeah, I met a guy and he was married, and I'm just like, oh, I'm glad you're telling me. That's nice. This is lovely. But
So, do you, obviously we're talking about apps. Do you seek out people on apps for like dating, or is it just? Or is it when
they're both like, yeah.
Do you go on any poly apps?
I don't. Oh, I don't actually know if there are any.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. Oh, no. I can't say if there are.
Might be worth you having a look.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to go get a new boyfriend.
No. Do you know what though? It's really talking to, even if they're not poly, talking to someone who's already sort of in a relationship is, I find it a little more calming because I don't have to explain myself quite as much.
Yeah.
And justify anything that I'm doing.
You don't have to do this and teach everyone.
I know, this is the only reason I begged you to do this, to let people know. But it's, I feel like a lot more people are open to it now, so it's less of an issue. But you do still kind of get the like snarky comment of, oh, you're bored. And I can understand where it comes from and people not wanting to get involved with someone who already sort of has a partner. But sometimes if you just like take a minute to like get to know someone, it might just open your eyes a little bit. So
I do think there's going to be some poly websites and poly apps out there. However, I think a lot of people who are like yourself won't even know they exist. So you're probably going to miss out on a lot.
This is the thing.
Because I seen an advert the other day for like, it popped up on Amazon. Because I don't pay for removing the ads, who does that? But it was like a dating app for single parents.
Okay,
and I was like, you're probably not going to get as many people as you think. You'll get a lot of single parents, but I was like, they're going to miss out on a lot of people because a lot of people who class themselves as single parent, it'll probably be most of the people who have custody of the kids.
Yeah.
And I thought there's going to be a lot of people who just aren't on there because they won't think of themselves that way. So.
Yeah, this is why
or you want to get some praying men, just like,
it's like those uniform, like, fetish websites where it's like, oh, if you wear a uniform or you're into people who do, like, well, that applies to everyone.
Yeah. No, I don't ever want to go on there. People in uniform, screw that.
No.
But it's sometimes when you niche a dating app down too much, it's a bit ridiculous. You're better off having a generic dating app that you can just do filters.
I think so. Yeah.
That'd be cool, actually, adding on to, say, Scruff or whatever, just the poly.
Yeah, because I can't remember which one it is, but poly is an option on one of the main ones.
Oh, that's good.
I know last time I checked, I haven't updated my profile in a while. Whoops. No. One of them I have poly on, and the other one I have open because it's whatever. If you have a conversation with me, it'll come out eventually. Yeah. I typically bring the topic of my boyfriend into a conversation quite early on.
Yeah. So, have you ever gone on a date with someone and you've not told them online or via message before?
Yeah.
And then when you tell them in person, what's the reaction?
Usually it kind of slips into the conversation quite naturally, and I assume, probably wrongly, that people read my profile and that they know. So I never want to feel like I'm in a situation where I have to hide it.
Yeah.
Actually, from anyone, whether it's like a hookup or I'm at work or anything at all, I don't want to be put in that situation because it's nothing I should have to hide. No. So I don't want to feel like that. So if the topic comes up in my head and I'm a little uneasy, like, oh, I don't know how this person's, I try and just let it out anyway. Because honestly, if a person that I'm on a date with or hooking up with is going to be judgmental about it,
not for you,
or just be generally negative, it's I'd rather just know, even if it's just a hookup. Like, I want to be comfortable.
Nice. So, I'm kind of drawing a blank now.
I don't think there's anything that I thought of that I haven't mentioned.
I'm done learning here. I'm trying to. You're educating me on poly. I think you've pretty much ticked so many boxes that there's nothing left. Oh, international poly. Have you stumbled across this yet?
No.
Okay, so I actually know a couple people.
Okay.
And they just seem to have partners all around the world.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot about this. But I think that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
One in every port.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't think there's an intentional thing behind this, but I think they're getting free accommodation for trips.
Where I come from, we call it banging for roof.
Yeah. But it was, I know a few people who they like. Oh, I've got my boyfriend in like Germany. I've got my boyfriend in Ireland. I've got a boyfriend in America. Got one in Brazil.
Someone needs to teach me how to get a boyfriend in America. Yes, please.
Yeah, where do you find them online? So, and to be fair, they genuinely are relationships. It's not just a bang. But I'm thinking, like, there's different ways, like you said.
Yeah.
And I think it's like they've got your long distance relationship, and then they'll just meet up so many times a year, and it's like you can jump in where you took off.
I think. Yeah.
It's kind of like a holiday romance every time.
Again, it's just an example of doing things differently and actually just considering relationships differently in general.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're not a live-in partner and wanting to get married and everything, they can still be your boyfriend. It can be a really serious relationship. Also, the idea that a relationship has to be forever.
Yeah.
Maybe, just because a relationship ends doesn't mean it failed. It's when you start to consider all these different things, then stuff like that kind of starts to make sense of, as long as everyone is consenting and on the same page and you're not and you're watching out for people's feelings, then there's kind of no harm in just trying it and like, yeah, let's sort of like date that person. And then if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. And if you travel a lot and have a boyfriend in different, like...
That could be a thing. You actually just travel a lot yourself and you're never tied in, like, in one location, and it might work quite well that... While I'm staying in such and such for work quite regularly, I have a partner there. And when I'm in that other... Didn't even think of that logic. Yeah. That actually could make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, I would like it to work for me. I'd like to travel a lot more, but...
Get online.
That damn 9 to 5 just got me every time.
Let's find that app and then let's set it to international. We'll find your partner in... Where would you like to go? Where would you like a partner?
Ooh. Well, let's go to Canada next.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
it's a really long distance, so make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
But what I was about to say is your relationship to Darren, like you said, you wouldn't see him for months. So what's the difference with the international? There isn't.
Exactly. I think as well, I'm a different person. When we first sort of started going on, I was like, oh, it's, it is casual, whatever. Then feelings started to grow like quite early on for us. So I'm a bit of a hopeless romantic in his open poly relationship. It does happen. And I want access to that person that I'm in a relationship with. And I do want the sofa time and the cuddling and all of that. So that was also something that we had to consider and talk about when I became closer in actual physical proximity. I had to have the conversation of, oh, is Ollie going to be okay with this? Like, because it'll change the dynamic. You now no longer have a faraway boyfriend. You have one that's a 10-minute drive down the road.
Yeah.
So it's those things that you just have to ask people, have a conversation.
Yeah.
I lost track of what I was actually going to say there.
It was hopeless romantic, closeness, distance. But yeah.
Yeah. And that's how I like to sort of have my relationship, but not everyone likes to do it like that. People are, either more laid back or they like their own space a little bit more and want a little bit of distance. And it just, again, polyamory opens a lot of doors for things like that.
Well, I feel like I've learned quite a bit, so I hope the listeners now, whenever you get asked, you just watch this video. I can't explain it again.
I will. I already have diagrams that I just quickly send to people, so this will be a nice little addition.
Oh, really? You have
yeah, I do. It's like a Venn diagram of like boyfriends, husbands, boyfriends. It's just so much quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you inevitably get the message back of like, oh, I've slept with him. Like, good for you.
Oh. You're now part of this. Where's your branch? I've got to add you
exactly.
in. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So, yeah, everyone listening, watching, make sure you tune in next time for an episode on I Don't Know. Are you going to come back?
I'll come back, yeah. This has been fun, yeah.
Good. Tell you what, are you going to come to the event in May?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So
Nice.
for those also watching, the Fuck Me Big Birthday Bang is going to be on the 24th of May in Manchester. The tickets are available below, so if you just check that link somewhere. And also the fuckmemerch.com website, go get some merch. All right, tune in next week.
Yeah.